To begin with visual acuity, we should make the patient to stand 20 feet away from the Snellen chart. We should ask them to remove contact lenses or spectacles. Now visual acuity is expressed as two numbers. For example, 20 upon 20. The first 20 denotes the distance of the patient from the chart. The second one denotes the distance from which the normal eye can read the letter. So what I would like you to do is hold the card on the right side of your eye and try to read the smallest line visible.
T M U A X Y U X I M U V.
Okay. Now I would like you to hold that card on the left side of your eye and read the smallest line possible.
Okay. T M U A X U Y U X I H W.
Okay. Now for the visual fields, we should look for lesions or deformities in the anterior or posterior chambers. For that, there are two tests. First is the static finger wiggle test. In that, ask the patient to directly look into your eyes. Place your hands 2 feet apart from patient's lateral ear. Slowly move your hands towards central vision line. Ask the patient to tell you as soon as him or her sees your finger. In this way, we can find the maximum lateral extent of monocular vision of both the eyes. Okay, now what I would like you to do is you can just notify me if you see my finger coming or wiggling. Okay?
Okay. I'm able to see your fingers.
Okay.
I'm able to see your fingers from the left side.
Okay. Now
I'm able to see your fingers from the right side.
okay.
I'm able to see your fingers.
Okay. Now, if we find any defect in the patient's eye, for example, if there is a defect in the right eye of the patient, that is the temporal right side of the patient's eye, then we can ask him to cover his left eye and try wiggling your finger from the right side of the lateral margin of the right eye of the patient and ask him whether he sees the finger or not. In this way, we can check for the other eye as well. Now continue this process until you form deformities in the lateral border of the eye. Next, for the kinetic red target test, use a 5 mm red taped pin and move it from the behind of the lateral margin of the patient's ear towards its central line of vision, bisecting the horizontal and the vertical meridians. We use this test to get to know about the visual field's position and alignment. Now, palpate the lacrimal gland and lacrimal sac of the patient properly in order to look for swelling and tearing. Then, with the help of your thumb, hold down the palpebral conjunctiva and ask the patient to look left, right, up and down in order for you to observe the sclera and conjunctiva properly for any nodules, masses or cyanotic color. Now, with the oblique lighting, inspect each cornea and lens for opacities. At the same time, inspect each iris. Now, the light shining from the temporal side, look for crescentic shadow at the medial side which suggests glaucoma. Also use a pupillary gauge in order to find the varying sizes of the pupils. Now, test the pupillary reactions for the eyes. First, darken the room. Then, shine the light obliquely into each eye. Now look for the direct reaction for the pupillary constriction in that eye and then quickly swing the light to the other eye for the consensual reaction, which is the pupillary constriction in the opposite eye. Now, if you find any problem in the pupillary reaction, try to find for the near reaction. Hold a pen or pencil in front of the patient's eye and alternatively with both the eyes, ask him to look at the pen or pencil. Now, ask the patient to follow your finger or the pen or pencil you use as you sweep through the 6 cardinal directions of gaze and make a wide edge by moving your finger in the direction of edge starting from the right downwards, then the middle sweeping to the left, upwards and downwards again. Now, check if the patient is suffering with lid lag or hyperthyroidism, and if so, ask the patient to look upwards and downwards again. Now, moving closer to the eye of the patient with the help of the ophthalmoscope, you can examine the retina for lesion, color, and the distribution. We should properly look for the arteries, that is the lighter red colored arteries and the darker blue colored veins. We should also look for the fovea and the macula by putting light laterally onto it. Also, we should look for papilledema with the help of the ophthalmoscope. And what is papilledema? Papilledema is a swelling of optic disc and anterior bulging of the physiologic cup, which often signals elevated intracranial pressure, meningitis, lesion, or subarachnoid hemorrhage. Begin exam with inspecting the auricle and surrounding tissue for deformities or lumps. Then, check if there is persistent pain, inflammation, or tenderness present, and if so, then do the tuck test for otitis externa. After that, press tragus and mastoid bone for tenderness. If there is tenderness here, then it can denote mastoiditis. For the otoscopic examination, select the largest speculum that patient's ear can accommodate. Then, to straighten the ear canal, grasp the ear firmly of the adult but gently pull it upward, back, and slightly away from the head. Now, while examining the ear, internal ear, by the help of otoscope, we should note the position of the malleus stapes incus, umbo, pars flaccida and pars interna, especially the position of the short head of the malleus and the handle of the malleus. Now, to test the patient's hearing, we should perform the whisper test, in which we should rub one side of the ear and on the other side of the ear we should whisper some numbers or words and ask the patient if they are audible. In Weber test, we should use a tuning fork. First, we should use the vibrating tuning fork and put it on the head of the patient and ask if they can hear the vibration. After that, we should put the same vibrating fork on the mastoid bone of the patient and ask if they feel the vibration.